Hi, let me show you a little pet project I built just this weekend. Here you can see my personalized news briefing. As you can see, it starts with today's date, and then it comes with some facts of today, like today marks the baptism anniversary of Ludwig van Beethoven and some other facts for the day. There's a quote of the day, there's weather from Munich, and some news. News from Germany, news from the rest of the world, news related to economy and finance, science, tech and AI news, entertainment news, some positive news with all of these horrible things happening worldwide. It's good to have some positive news too. An AI productivity tip, personal productivity tip, an oblique strategy from Brian Eno, a writing prompt in case I don't know what to write about or what to produce a video about, and finally a funny comment from the editor. So Germany is worried about supermarket monopolies and so on and so forth. This is AI generated, but it's based on facts. In fact, this little script has harvested information from 20 different news sources, and then I used Claude to put together this personalized news briefing for me. It's a simple script written in the Fish scripting language. Fish is just another shell, but you can probably adapt this to your own favorite shell. So let's do a walk through the code on what happens and what tricks I used to get this briefing the way I wanted it to be. Here's the script. So here you can see at the beginning we are defining some variables like today's date, the location, a little bit of background information about myself, and a list of RSS feeds. It's a mixture of German news outlets. There are some economy news outlets like Handelsblatt, some international news outlets, some technology news websites. All of these sites provide their own RSS feed, which makes gathering news automatically very easy. Now, embedded in this Fish shell script, we also have a Python script. Why? RSS comes with a lot of XML stuff in between, which kind of blows up the context window. So we want to really reduce the news to just the text that we want to feed into Claude. And to do that, we have a little Python script here that uses the Python library feed parser here. And feed parser allows us to go through those RSS news feeds and just gather the naked news, if you will, from those news feeds. So here's the script. Basically, it parses the RSS feed. It then sorts the feed by most recent first, collects the first 10 items from the feed, and then it starts printing out the main things that we're interested in, like the summary, the description, and so on, into standard out. One little detail, news items in RSS feeds, they can have a title, they can have a summary, a description, or a content. Different news feeds use different of these fields. So what we're doing here is we are first looking for the summary. If we can't find the summary, then we're looking for the description. And only if we can't find either of them, then we'll go with the actual content. And the reason is the content can be quite large, and we don't want to blow up our context size. So we prefer summary and description first, and we'll go with content if nothing else is available. So here we go. Now starts the real script with gathering information so that the user knows what's happening. What we do is we first create a temporary Python environment to run our Python script inside. We are using UV to create our virtual environment, and we install the feed parser library in this line over here. And then we go through a for loop, and for each feed here, we start our Python script here with the individual feed, and we use the ampersand or and character here at the end to start these jobs in the background. Now, in addition to downloading all of these RSS feeds with all of these news information, we're also using Perplexity. The nice thing about Perplexity is that it provides us with an API, and we can use this API through a command called LLM. And if you check out my previous video, you'll see how you can install the LLM tool into your command line and add the Perplexity plugin so you can talk to the Perplexity search engine from the command line. So what we are doing here is, for example, in this command over here, we are calling the LLM tool. with the model Sonar Pro, which is Perplexity's model, and asking it to provide us with the weather forecast for today in location, which is Munich in this case, and including some other things. We're also using the same approach to get a list of 10 recently published AI productivity tips. We're also getting the same approach to get some personal productivity tips, and finally some facts of the day or information related to today, like famous birthdays and so on. All of these requests are all happening in parallel. So in this block here, we simply wait for all of these parallel requests to complete. And finally, when everything has been collected into a temporary directory, we simply cat all these text files together into one huge chunk of information. So this is what this block here is about. We basically go through a loop of all the text files that we have, create one big all-news.txt file that will then feed into Claude, and we also collect some size information for some statistics. Now comes the part where we take all of this news information and generate the actual news briefing for myself, which is done by Claude. So we put together a prompt here. So here's our briefing prompt. This is the thing that defines how I want my personalized report to look like. So in this prompt, we start with review the previously provided information carefully, then some rules. This report is for, and this is where we insert the personal information about myself, so Claude has some background about the reader. And then for each section, focus on the most relevant, significant, and impactful information. Always use English language, because some of the news sources are in German, and I want the whole report to be in a single language, in this case English. Format in clean markdown, and feel free to add emojis. Use this exact structure. So here's where we provide Claude with the template of our news briefing, starting with the day of the week, quote of the day, and we provide placeholders here so that Claude knows where to insert what information. Then we have the news blocks with a clear structure for each news block, including sources. And finally, the productivity tips and other use blocks. And at the end, we let Claude be funny by asking it to write a funny but respectful comment or joke about the news you just provided as an editor. So here's our prompt. We then put everything together by taking the current date, telling it to read through our information package, then giving it the prompt with our template. This is where this cat command here is basically putting together all of these texts into one single input. And then we send it through the LLM command, this time with the Claude Sonnet 4.5 model, and basically let Claude do its thing. Let's see this in action. And it's very simple. We just call briefing and send the output to briefing.md, which is a markdown document. As you can see here, it started 20 jobs to gather information either from our RSS feeds or from Perplexity, and it's now waiting for all of these 20 jobs to complete, giving us a nice status update along the way. As you can see, there are some jobs that take longer than the others, so we'll wait until all jobs are done. Now it's combining all of the news data. As you can see here, we get an update. It's about 73 kilobytes of total news data, which boils down to about 18,000 tokens. So now it's sending everything to Claude. Claude is doing its thing. It's taking all of this data and assembling our final news briefing out of that. And Claude is done. So now we can go through our briefing document. We are going to use Glow, which is a command line tool that does pretty printing for markdown documents. And here we go. This is our freshly created news briefing. It starts with today's date, Tuesday, December 16th, 2025, with some facts of the day. As you can see here, it's a little bit different than the initial report that I showed you, which was generated earlier. Of course, there's always variation in what happens. There's always some random stuff that's happening, but that makes stuff more entertaining, right? So today marks the anniversary of the Boston Tea Party, and so on and so forth. We get the quote of the day, this time a different quote of the day. We get the Munich weather, and we get our top 3 news from Germany. I don't know why it's relating these Trump BBC thinks news to Germany, but maybe because it came out of a German news outlet. And we get the world news, we get economy news, and all of the things that we asked for in our briefing template, including the productivity tips, AI productivity tips, personal productivity tips, oblique strategy, writing prompt, and some funny remarks at the end. It's not perfect, but now we can start tweaking our prompt here and try to make it better. I did some back of the envelope calculations around costs. It's less than half a dollar, so not that much. You can actually experiment using Haiku instead of Sonnet, which is even lower cost, and even the Perplexity cost is pretty negligible. As a pro user, I get $5 of API calls per month for free, and I've done a lot of testing and a lot of iterating on this script, and I'm still at more than $2.8 left, so it's not that much. So with that, I hope this was useful, and let me know in the comments what you think, and let me know what else you're doing with LLMs and AI in the command line. Thank you.